All right, let's get right into it. At the core of so many system design challenges, there's this one fundamental quest. How do we make sense of just massive amounts of unstructured data? It's really about finding the hidden knowledge, those secret patterns that are buried deep in all the noise. And today, we're going to design the exact system to do that. So, picture this. You're in an interview, and they hit you with this question. You are facing a literal mountain of user feedback. Could be support tickets, could be reviews. You can't possibly read them all. And this isn't just some abstract problem, right? This is a core business need that really tests if you can design a system that discovers themes automatically and does it at scale. So here's how we're going to break it down. We'll start with the why, what I'm calling the unsupervised quest for knowledge. Then we'll build the how, a real production-ready discovery pipeline. After that, we'll tackle the most crucial step, turning these raw clusters into actual insights. And finally, I'll share some common interview traps to make sure you absolutely ace this design. Okay, first things first, we have to frame this problem in the right way. This is a quest for discovery, which is a totally different ballgame from just assigning labels to things. The contrast here is what's really interesting. On one side, you've got classification, that's supervised. Think of it like sorting mail into boxes that are already labeled: bills, junk mail, letters. You already know your categories. But topic modeling, that's the complete opposite. It's unsupervised. You haven't been given any labels. Your job is to stare at this chaotic pile of mail and figure out what the categories should even be. You're discovering the structure from scratch, not just sorting things into buckets. And the engine behind all of this is unsupervised learning. We're essentially telling the algorithm, hey, here's a bunch of data. I'm not giving you any answers. You go find the patterns. This kind of hands-off approach is really the foundation of our entire discovery process. To make this a little more vivid, let's use an analogy from Hindu mythology, the Samudra Manthan. It's this epic story about churning the ocean of milk to find hidden treasures. Well, our vast, unstructured, totally chaotic data, that's our ocean. And we are about to design the system that does the churning. Okay, so let's get practical. How do we actually build this churning mechanism? This right here is the heart of your system design answer. This is the slide to remember, a practical 5-step pipeline for theme discovery. First, we have to turn raw text into meaningful numbers. Then, we cut through the noise to find a clearer signal. Next, we group those signals into clusters. And finally, and this part is absolutely key, we bring a human into the loop to interpret and label what we've actually found. The real magic starts with embeddings. We're not just counting keywords. No, we're turning text into these mathematical vectors in a way that actually captures meaning. This is so crucial because it lets our system understand that doctor compensation and physician's salary are basically talking about the same thing, even though the words are different. This is how we group by concept, not just by vocabulary. Now, a sharp interviewer might throw you a curveball here. They might say, the embeddings are already numbers, right? So why add this extra step of reducing their dimensionality? What does that really get you? And this is such a great question because the answer shows a deeper level of understanding. Reducing dimensionality isn't just about making the algorithm run faster. It's about improving the quality of our discovery. It helps denoise the data, which makes the underlying patterns pop. And it makes the clusters way more distinct and easier for our algorithms to separate. And then we get to the aha moment, clustering. This is where we run an algorithm on our nice, clean vectors, and all of a sudden, groups just emerge from the chaos. This is the climax of our churning process, where those hidden themes, the treasures, finally become visible. But, just like in the Samudra Manthan story, not everything that comes out of the ocean is treasure. Poison, the hala, also appeared. For us, the raw output of an algorithm isn't automatically an insight. Now we have the critical, human-in-the-loop job of interpretation, of sorting the treasure from the poison. And this is the main takeaway here. The algorithm gives us groupings, not meaning. A raw cluster is just a collection of data points. It's our job as the designers and thinkers to do that last-mile work, to extract examples, interpret them, and give them a name, to turn that raw output into something the business can actually use. Let's look at a really clear example. A lazy cluster name might just be payment issue words. I mean, what do you do with that? It's not helpful. A great cluster name is operational. It tells a story, billing friction during checkout. Now, that describes a specific user problem that a product team can actually go and solve. So, how do we get these great labels? Well, it's a partnership between automation and human smarts. We can use an LLM to take a first stab at it to summarize the key examples from a cluster, but then a human expert must review it to make sure the language is truly operational and it really captures the core idea. That human judgment is what separates the real signal from the noise. Here's another key interview question you should be ready for. You've run the pipeline, you've named the clusters. Great. How do you prove that they're actually valid and valuable? How do you evaluate the quality of your own work? Your evaluation has to have three parts. First, coherence. Do the items in a cluster actually belong together? Are they about the same thing? Second, distinction. Are your clusters clearly different from each other, or do they kind of blur together? And honestly, most importantly, utility. Can someone do something with this information? Because if a product team can't use your insight to make the product better, it's not a good topic, no matter how clean it looks statistically. Okay, let's bring it all home. We'll finish up by talking about how to avoid some common pitfalls when you're asked to design this kind of system in an interview. These are the red flags that make interviewers cringe. Don't analyze an entire document when the real themes live at the paragraph level. Never, ever treat a label from an LLM as the absolute truth without validating it yourself. Always, always check the raw data to see if the clusters make sense. And finally, remember that topics change over time. A system that doesn't account for that topic drift is going to be useless pretty quickly. Ultimately, this is the mindset you want to get across. A strong candidate knows that this entire pipeline is really a tool for generating hypotheses. The output isn't the final answer. It's the starting point for a deeper investigation, for validation, and for that essential human interpretation. And I'll leave you with this last thought. Because discovering a theme is one thing, but proving its business impact is a whole other level. How do you actually quantify the size of a problem? How do you connect a cluster of user complaints to a drop in revenue or a spike in support costs? Answering that is the final step that connects your brilliant technical design to real-world value.